above the RCA Dome. And now inside, and don't forget their kickoff man, as we take a look at the replay here, Aaron Elling is hurt.
Well, it's just they have the power on that side, and then they pull the guard and the center. Burt gets his block first. David Dixon, the guard, gets his block second, and Ontario Smith splits them.
And now Anderson is going to have to kick off. Morton started the season kicking off, and as you can see, 6 kickoffs, and the opponent's average start was the 38-yard line. So he wasn't kicking off well enough. That's why they brought Elling in to be the kickoff specialist and long field goal guy. But he was hurt on the last run back, and so the 44-year-old Morton Anderson sends this one skyward. 12-yard line. Brad Pyatt coming to the near side of the field and is forced out of bounds up at the 28-yard line with 2:50.
Well, Edgerrin James, running back for the Colts, is in rarefied air here. With a minimum of 60 games, he is atop the list of most yards from scrimmage per game all time. Just about a yard better than the great Jim Brown. So a great man running the football and receiving it out of the backfield. Edgerrin James, at least for now, through 72 games, more yards per game from scrimmage than Jim Brown.
Kinds of situations where it's first down, they huddle up now, but they won't huddle up the rest of this drive.
Ton of time. They have all their timeouts. They have the 2-minute warning, so that's not an issue right now for the Colts at the 27-yard line. Fake give, fake end around, pass screen, set up James. Edgerrin James breaking tackles up to the 44-yard line. And we talked about it before after those knee injuries. Dungy said, I didn't see him win, but you know, he looks pretty good to me now, and he looks real good tonight.
Yeah, he's doing everything that they wanted to, because they can not only fake to him, then they fake the reverse, and they come back and throw it to him. They can hand it to him and let him run, fake it to him, and throw the ball.
And the crowd is booing because they think this is a faked injury to stop the momentum, as the Vikings' Michael Natil, E.J. Henderson is down, and of course the crowd thinks this is nothing but a ruse so they can regroup defensively.
Yeah, he's on the left side of the screen right there, and he just starts to limp off and then goes down. I mean, he started to limp, but he kind of went limp, and then boom, he just went down.
He's a pretty good player. I'm not sure if you're going to fake an injury, and this guy's pretty key to their defense. You might want to have somebody else fake it.
You're not going to fake it. It was legitimate, because, I mean, you can see right here and see the hit. Watch his left knee. Watch what happens there. And then, like you say, you wouldn't want to fake it because you have to take the guy out, and you don't want one of your players to have to be out in this situation.
Now the rule is, had that happened inside the 2-minute warning, that would have cost you a timeout, and Minnesota only has one. But Henderson's going to go to the bench.
You feel here, Al, like the last team that has the ball wins?
I think you're right. It has that feeling, as do so many of the games played this year by the Colts on 1st and 10. Manning, and Manning's going to run, and Manning has a lot of room to roam, and goes to the 40, and then falling on top of him and drawing the flag, Lance Johnstone. And the Colts come over and say thank you very much.
Yeah, he did more than fall on top of him. Lance Johnstone was chasing him, and again, when he goes down, you can't touch him. You can't hit a guy when he's down, obviously. See, when the quarterback goes feet first, he gives himself up. And when he gives himself up, you can't hit him after he gives himself up. That's the protection of the quarterback. Oh, Lance Johnstone was coming in there with a little malice in his mind.
You know, John, you're talking about the last team to have the ball. I think what Indianapolis has to think about now, and I know it runs counter to what some people think, you've got to score when you can score.
Yeah.
But they have to also think about, you know what, you can take this clock way down. You've got Mike Vanderjagt, a terrific field goal kicker, and leave Minnesota with this potent offense no time.
Yeah, because that's the thing that they have to worry about, is if they score too quickly, they're going to give Dante Culpepper plenty of time to score against them.
Meanwhile, the clock's going to next stop at the 2-minute warning. They're already in field goal range. James takes it to the 23-yard line. So now you have the 2-minute warning with 1:59. It's going to be second down and about 8 when we come back. Manning will go to the sideline. Vikings will regroup, and we'll go inside the 2-minute mark. Locked up, 28 all.
Your home for the thrills and spills of motorsports all season long is ESPN. ESPN presents Dutch football. This week, Ajax Amsterdam versus Feyenoord, a battle of Dutch powerhouses as both teams fight for the #2 spot. Dutch football, total football, live on ESPN Sunday.
Interesting strategy coming up here now with a very heady quarterback, a team that knows they can take almost all the time off the clock if they can get a first down and force Minnesota to use its last timeout and set up a Vanderjagt game-winning field goal.
Well, what if you were Minnesota? What would you want them to do? Would you want them to score quickly, or would you want to stop them and have to try a field goal? Because there could be the case, and the Minnesota defense just lets them score.
If they get down a little farther, you have to think about that. I mean, that's the old, Green Bay, Denver Super Bowl a few years ago.
I mean, right here, do it.
Yeah. The Mike Holmgren strategy.
Yeah, I mean, if you believe that they have a field goal right now and you want to get the ball back with time to have a chance to win it, maybe somehow you do let them score.
I think, well, the best thing for Minnesota right now is to stop them. To stop them and at least get the ball back, force Vanderjagt to kick a field goal. Minnesota got a break there because of the free time out of the 2-minute warning, but they've already spent 2. And now we'll see what they do. But this is a big play right here as you look at the quarterback comparison right now. Manning with 4 touchdown passes. You look at those QB ratings, terrific again for both. Manning 145.2. E.J. Henderson is back in the game. It's second down and 8 from the 24-yard line. James. And James does them what a favor he just did them. He goes out of bounds. How do you go out of bounds in that situation?
There's no way. He just kept bouncing and bouncing, and at some point when you get to that thing, you have to stay in bounds, even if you have to go down, but you have to make the cut back to the inside.
Whew. Third down and 5. That's the last thing you do in that situation, because you then either force Minnesota to take its timeout right here, or you take 40 more seconds off the clock. Third down and 5 at the 21-yard line.
This is a big defensive play for the Vikings.
Manning, a little dump shovel. James atones, picks up the first down, takes it to the 15, and now it's all in their hands. Minnesota can only stop it one time.
Okay, now we go back to the question, you let him score now.
Is this left-handed? Sure
yes,
it is.
It is left-handed. That's the thing. We were talking about Dante Culpepper can do those things. Peyton Manning could do those same things, and you have to be able to throw from different angles. And sometimes, I mean, you hate to see that, but you have to throw with different hands. What a play.
What a play.
At a time when it was needed most.
Now it's first and 10. The Vikings can only stop the clock once. They're going to have to do after this play. James. 15-yard line. And I guess, well, at this point, the Vikings can take their timeout whenever, because Indianapolis is just going to run the clock down as far as they can.
No, but I would let him. I'd take my timeout, but I'd let him score. I mean, the only chance that the Vikings have to win this game is if the Colts score and they get the ball back,
or if Vanderjagt misses or they block the kick. That's the other thing, or it's a bad snap. Chances of that happening are fairly minimal because Vanderjagt, as I say, is one of the best in the league.
Let's look at this pass again. Play action pass. He looks, he can't find anything. He feels the pressure. He knows he has to get rid of it. He sees Edgerrin James out there, so he gives it to him with his left hand. He brings the ball out his right hand because that's where the pressure was coming from. Put it away from the pressure and threw it with that hand.
Pressure from Keith Newman. Comes in, figures he's got the right hand well taken care of, and says, what?
Now that is a football player.
That is a player.
That's a football player, too.
Absolutely. Marvin Harrison is the deep guy just in case. So they'll keep the clock winding down. And Mike Vanderjagt will be coming in to try to wrap this one up for Indianapolis.
Well, the Colts weren't going to fall for that after the timeout, were they? They weren't going to run any play because they knew that same thing. So they just had Peyton Manning take a knee.
Colts will let the clock run all the way down. Now, if I'm the Colts at this point with third down, I think I might bring Vanderjagt in here, because on third down, let's say there was an errant snap, you'd still have the opportunity to kick it on fourth down. So they're going to take a timeout here. I think I would take my chances if I'm the Colts, instead of running it all the way down, kick it here, do whatever you want on the kickoff, and take my chances that way.
I agree with that. If you ever have that decision, that's the one that you have to make, because like you say, if you miss the kick, you don't get to kick it over again, obviously. But if there is a bad snap or anything goes wrong with it, you can regroup and then kick it again on fourth down. So I agree that they should kick it now on third down.
But the way it looks right now, they are going to run it down to a couple of seconds and just let Vanderjagt kick it at the buzzer, keeping the offense on the field. So they're going to come to the line. They're going to kneel down, and then it'll be fourth down with a couple of seconds left in the game, and it'll be up to Vanderjagt.
Peyton Manning has already talked to the referee to tell him when he wants a timeout, and he takes it right then at 6 seconds.
NFC North. That's right now. Minnesota would go to 5-3, and they're at Green Bay minus Moss again next Sunday. And in the very tight AFC South, there it is. Indy would go to 5-3 and be tied with Jacksonville, with Tennessee in last place, only 2 games back.
And he still has to make this, doesn't he?
Yep, Justin Snow will snap it. Hunter Smith will hold it. It'll be a 36-yard attempt for Vanderjagt. And the Colts are up by 3. So they had the great luxury of knowing Minnesota had just one timeout, already being in field goal range, milking the clock, and leaving Minnesota with the scantest of chances right now on a kickoff return for a touchdown.
Right, and that key play was by Peyton Manning, and that left-handed pass to Edgerrin James. Right here, they needed a first down. Can't pass with your right. Put it in the left and get it out there. And Edgerrin James does the rest to get that first down. Well, that was true, wasn't it?
It was true. The game is not quite over with 2 seconds left. In the minds of some others, it's over.
What do you think for the horse trailer? I think Peyton Manning for his whole game, but just based on that left-handed play, I think he has to be on there. I think what Edgerrin James does, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I go for a dual one tonight. I think Freeney had a great night, but you know, when a guy throws 4 touchdown passes and another guy collects 179 yards from scrimmage,
they ought to be hauled all alone.
They should be a dual haul.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, because a lot of what Peyton Manning did was made possible by what Edgerrin James did.
Here's your squib kick down the middle of the field, and they don't even have a chance to run it back, period. Perfectly placed squib kick, and Peyton Manning and the Colts snap a 2-game slide, go to 5-3 at the midway mark of the season. Manning on his way.
A reminder for our Latin American audience, keep it here every Thursday for another great edition of NFL Seminal. We will recap week number 9 with a look ahead towards next week's week 10 of this NFL season. Well, it came right down to the final seconds. It took 4 touchdown passes from Peyton Manning and a late field goal from Mike Vanderjagt to secure a Colts victory over the Vikings. For our entire ESPN crew, I'm Mark Brown. So long for now. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. For our Latin American audience, Sports Center is coming up next. The Colts win it at home over the Vikings by 3.
ESPN thanks you for watching this presentation of the National Football League.
Pro football can be as cerebral as a Mike Shanahan game plan, as graceful as an Isaac Bruce touchdown catch, or as sophisticated as a Dom Capers zone blitz. On the other hand, it can be as brutally simple as a one-on-one collision. So today, we're skipping nuance and heading straight for nasty as we take you over the middle and describe what the moment of impact is really like. And while you might call this a crash course on collisions, you don't have to worry. There's a lot more thumping than thinking.
Since the dawn of time, man has built machines.
I invented this first machine, which was a 2-man machine.
Machines to drive us. Machines to push us. Machines to make us more like machines. Inventor Ray Crowther.
I coached at Drexel first, where we had small squads, and it seemed to me every time we'd have any rough work, somebody was getting hurt. And I thought, well, I could develop some sort of a machine that you could teach fellas how to charge and block and tackle on, that they wouldn't get hurt.
In football, there is no machine more valuable than the 7-man blocking sled.
Tony, are we going to hit the big sled?
Yes, Coach.
All right. Hardly wait. That's my favorite drill, Chris. The big sled. That's it. That develops the foundation for the team. Everybody exploding off together. We all go nuts different, right? That just happened to be the way I go nuts. If there's one thing in life I enjoy. There was a stage in my life I enjoyed other things, but right now, I enjoy that most. The big sled.
Hit up. Arch the back, arch the back.
Every day at the Ram practice, we went on the 7-man sled and came off the ball together.
That's it. That's it. Wipe it and then lift it.
Together, full speed, without scrimmage and without getting anybody hurt, just for timing and rhythm and explosion.
It teaches such the fundamentals of the game better than any one piece of equipment that I've ever come across. That's the idea. Work your feet, work your feet.
That's good session. First time on that sled. You learn to love that thing. Learn to love it.
Perhaps one man loved his a little too much. To former Raiders coach John Madden, Rosebud was a 7-man sled.
Madden still got that thing, you know, the one we had in Santa Rosa.
A man should never be without a big sled.
And he actually had it delivered back down to his studio in Pleasanton.
To me, this is where it all starts. You see the 7-man sled. That gives you your 5 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends.
If they're going to make that sled move, they all have to hit it with that free arm pumping, and they got to have those short, choppy steps, good base, head up, eyes open. And they have to push that coach a period of, 10 to 12 seconds until he's satisfied.
As a coach, you see, this was always a fun thing, is you would jump on here and you would be on this side of it. So you would be like this, and you would be standing. See, and you even got a thing to hold on to. Here, see, the old coach. And so you got it, and you say, okay, everyone up here, on 2. Then you go, down, set, ready, 100, 200, high 1, high 2, boom, drive. And then you can just ride it the whole thing.
Come on, look at me.
When you're a player and you have to drive that thing, it's 110 degrees out, it's tough. When you're a coach and you're just standing out here, you can ride this thing all day.
Like jolly St. Nick, football coaches ride in sleighs across the turf and grass, while players toil and sweat en masse.
That's why all of us have back problems, because we pushed that thing around forever. We used to say, how many miles are we going to push it this week? Because we knew we were going to push it. It was almost like a tradition with Madden. He always felt that that was an important part of it.
We used to start off every practice in the morning, you know, with hitting a 7-man sled. That's the first thing they do. So that would get rid of all hangovers. Anyway, you know, like some people need coffee, some people want to eat bacon and eggs. We just use a 7-man sled.
And we hated it because he was so heavy in those days that we were like, you know, pushing around this truck in the hot sun, and there's John.
Go, man, big sled, big sled.
As a coach's tool, the big sled teaches timing and proper technique.
Sink that ass now, sink that tail. But see, your asses never got together. I don't give a shit if your nose is on the ground. If your asses aren't together, we can't get anybody off the line of scrimmage.
Have you seen many guys blocking like that with their head down? Where's all the momentum or the strength of your block going? Boom, right into the ground. You got to keep your head up.
And I always felt if you did nothing more from an offensive standpoint, get off the ball on time, you had a chance.
Beat him to the punch with this now. Explode. Boom. We ought to be able to beat the sled to the punch.
See, you can hear a good takeoff. When you have 7 guys lined up, ready to go, and they're going to go in the same snap count, that when you call that snap count, you should hear one boom. There we go. It shouldn't be like boom, boom, boom. It shouldn't be like they're playing a piano.
My fault, fellas.
Of course, these things have pads on them when we hit them.
Pads or no pads, Madden's medieval machine was an instrument of pure torture. And over the last 25 years, that sentiment hasn't changed much. But there's no denying the big sled's lasting impact on the game, or its place in a coach's heart and his driveway.
Football player plays 5, 10, 12, sometimes 15 years, and this 7-man sled would be here when the guy comes in as a rookie, and will be here when he retires as a veteran, because the 7-man sled will always endure. Everyone who's ever played or ever coached the line in his life ought to have his own 7-man sled forever. And I do. This is mine.
Each week, ESPN has your ticket for the best in sports. Mondays, fulfill your need for speed as we bring you the best in 2-wheel, open-wheel, and off-road racing. Thursdays are action sports days with the wildest moments of X Games and beyond. And remember, ESPN is always your home for the great outdoors with hunting, lumberjacking, and some of the biggest fish you've ever seen. The best in sports each week, only on ESPN.
No equipment needed. Only your hands and your heart. And according to the outcome, you will live 3 minutes of hell or 3 minutes of glory. Friday Night Fights on ESPN.
Your home for the thrills and spills of motorsports all season long is ESPN.
What's it like to stand in the pocket when someone delivers the hit? Next on NFL's Greatest Moments.
3 seconds. That's how long a quarterback has between the snap of the ball and the moment of impact.
You know, in your head, you kind of have this little clock. You do feel the pressure around you.
All these warriors are fighting around him.
1 second, 1,000.
They don't see the guy coming.
You just sense something's on its way.
2 seconds, 2,000. You got guys moving all in front of you. Hands are trying to get to your face.
Boy, yeah, I got a chance to cut this guy in half.
3 seconds, 3,000.
They're getting closer and closer to you.
You're about to accept a blow.
I got him.
He's right there.
Got him.
You got that perfect shot.
I got him.
And you take it.
Got it.
Bam! Welcome home, baby.
I got it.
You just get this feeling, oh my gosh. I mean, you're just gonna go, oh, wow. I hope he gets up.
When the blitz is coming and you know you're going to get it, that's when it takes courage, because you're defenseless. It doesn't take courage to be on the other side of the ball. I think it's as much courage to stand in there and know that some guy like Warren Sapp's going to come pouring in there. If you hold on to the ball a half a second too long, you're going to get it.
What I always told people, and they say, you know, all those big guys coming at you, and I always said, I'll tell you what to do. I'm 230 pounds. Stand about 10 yards over there and just turn your back to me and let me take a full-blown head start. I'm not going to tell you I'm coming. And let me just drill you right in the middle of your back. Say if your number is 12, right between a 1 and a 2. Let's make it 1.2. Hit that decimal point right there.
And there's nothing like the moment before the moment of impact. Minutes roll by in a split second. A lifetime goes through your head. Everything seems to just slow down.
I draw a bead on that particular area in which I intend to hit him. And I was closing in on Jeff George, and for some reason or another, he just looked my way. And he looked into my eyes and said, oh.
Everything rattles. I mean, you get up sometimes and you're looking at a teammate and there's 4 of them and they're all moving side to side. And you're trying to pick out the one that, you know, is real, and you're like, oh my God.
I did get Avellini from the Chicago Bears. Walter Payton forgot to block me, and I hit him from behind. And what hurt him was that the ball was in between him and the artificial turf, and that knocked the wind out of him.
There are sacks that you see coming. There are sacks that you don't see coming. The blindside sack probably hurt the most. I think my lower back still reminds me of some of those.
You don't actually feel the impact until after you try to get up. You know, if you're trying to get up, that's when it's tough. You know, I was hit by Greg Lloyd one time, and he just nailed me real good. The whole wind and everything went right out of me, and I tried to get up, and I couldn't, and I wanted to say something to him. I couldn't talk.
And of course, you know, there's games that you did get beat on, but you'll never, ever make it in the league as a quarterback if you worry about those guys.
Well, if you never stood in there, it'd probably frighten the mess out of you.
I don't know if you've ever been out in the woods late at night, maybe scared that someone's chasing you, and you just kind of feel somebody behind you all the time, so you kind of walk faster and faster. It's sometimes hard with the arms waving and everything to see a lot of stuff. It'd be like being in a forest, but the trees are coming after you.
Sort of you being sort of in the elevator, a closed environment with speakers around you, and the music is just blasted, and you're trying to get the ball out as quick as possible.
You sense bodies moving around. Your internal clock's telling you got about another half second and the ball's got to come out. It's like sort of a controlled chaos in that pocket. You know, any time it's going to break down, you're going to get hit.
Had to be in situations where guys weren't close to me, guys were close to me, guys were falling on my legs, guys were hitting me in my chest as I threw the football.
You find some quarterbacks are kind of level-headed, trying to find holes to run through. I think the big-time quarterbacks are able to sit in the pocket, always keep your head up, and looking for guys downfield to make the big plays and be able to buy the extra time to make the throw downfield.
When things are going bad, when you're taking a lot of hits,
Even the toughest guy, sometimes maybe you peek down at the rush, and if you feel you're getting hit, you might try to take the peek down, see where it's coming from, and see if you can sidestep it. Nobody likes to get hit out there. So you can't sit back there and think you're gonna look pretty and just throw the ball downfield and score touchdowns. It just doesn't happen that way.
Ironically, none have more respect for quarterbacks than the very men who hunt them down.
I don't know how he does it. I really don't. But the great ones do it. The great ones do it. The great ones have a feel for it.
Here comes the blitz. He steps away from it and lets the pass go long. He's going for a touchdown.
It has to be hard to stand there and have a guy just tee off on you. I look at Brett Favre. Brett will get up and attack you just like you attacked him. He's not going to lay down. He's going to dish some back. Peyton Manning's another guy. That guy gets up. And you take your hat off to a quarterback like that. You know, that's the type of quarterback that you want playing for you. And to hit those quarterbacks and for them to get up, and after some of the shots that they take, I don't know if they know where they are, but they're some tough guys.
Defensive backs prove it's better to give than receive as we take you over the middle when NFL's Greatest Moments returns.
Each week, ESPN has your ticket for the best in sports. Mondays, fulfill your need for speed as we bring you the best in two-wheel, open-wheel, and off-road racing. Thursdays are action sports days with the wildest moments of X Games and beyond. And remember, ESPN is always your home for the great outdoors with hunting, lumberjacking, and some of the biggest fish you've ever seen. The best in sports each week, only on ESPN.
No equipment needed. Only your hands and your heart. And according to the outcome, you will live 3 minutes of hell or 3 minutes of glory. Friday Night Fights on ESPN.
Your home for the thrills and spills of motorsports all season long is ESPN.
We're back and heading to the place where the fearless meets the ferocious on NFL's Greatest Moments.
Going across the middle is a scary adventure. You know, you got to have some courage. You have to understand one thing. You are going to get hit.
He has no gravity whatsoever. You can hit him anywhere, and it's going to be like a ragdoll tumble.
Can you describe the sound of a hit when a receiver's going over the middle?
I've only heard it like you've heard it from a distance.
The best hits, it's like hitting a home run. When you hit back in the baseball days, you hit a home run right on that sweet spot. You don't feel it, it just feels so pure. And the same way with hitting. When you really get a good one, you don't feel anything. It's just kind of a sense of it's a rush.
You get coaches telling, guys, you got to be tough, you got to catch balls over the middle. Don't believe that. If they throw you a bad ball over the middle, let it go, because you're going to get killed. First of all, that was my job, to protect the middle of the field, and I really took a dislike to receivers feeling that they could come over the middle and catch a ball. It was just something that we didn't allow.
First thing I'm trying to think is what Ray Rhodes used to tell me. Ray Rhodes was my defensive back coach.
at the 49ers early in my career, and he said, hey, look, you got to deliver a woo hit. You got to deliver a woo hit, and that means when the crowd goes woo. So if any time the ball came across the middle, you got to try to destroy the person. Why? Is because the game is about measuring a person's soul. You got to figure out a way to defeat that. And the only way you can defeat that is giving your best shot. Because if you don't, he's not going to respect you. And if he doesn't respect you, therefore he's going to get up and he's going to feel like, hey, he owns the middle. I've always felt that the way to take that away from him, that he doesn't own the middle, is to make sure that I get into his soul. And the only way the only way you can get into someone's soul is you got to hit him hard.
I played college at Stanford, and Ronnie Lott was still playing at San Fran at the time. Ronnie Lott used to try to envision not just hitting the guy, you hit through him. You know, like they talk about that in baseball too. You don't hit the ball, you hit through the ball. And you know, so sometimes I'll try to see almost like four guys, you know, right behind each other, and I'm trying to hit all the way through that fourth guy.
When you're a DB, strangely, people think you want that big hit. But usually when you get the big hit, it means you were just a little bit late. And I know a couple of the biggest ones I've ever had, I just thought to myself, I should have gotten there. That was my play. That was my interception. And now all that happened is the guy's got a little bit of a headache.
Go for the pick. Go for the pick. Go for the pick.
There is a split second where you're, as a defensive back, you're either going to decide to hit the wide receiver, knock the pass down, or intercept it. That split second, I don't know if you're in Never Never Land. It's not a blur, but it happens so quick that it's all reaction.
That same split second is also vital to the success and safety of a receiver.
I worked with several quarterbacks who timed up very well with me and gave me the football that split second, just as I was making my break into the pattern to turn into middle. And that came from a lot of intensive work on the practice field. Running those patterns over and over. It becomes so second nature to a quarterback who sees a receiver's movements from behind that he can detect it and he can release the football. The ball had to be coming at a precise moment, because if I drifted a hair or two into the middle, farther than I would like to go, I would be obliterated. Fortunately for me, I was never left to be hung out to dry.
Did I ever hang somebody out to dry? I hung more guys out to dry than I'd like to, and I want to apologize to every one of them and know that it wasn't intentional. You never intentionally want to throw the ball high over the middle and expose somebody's ribs.
One time, Clayton broke his ribs pretty bad and missed a couple weeks. It was because of the, you know, it's where I threw the ball. He got extended way up, had his hands up, and just took a big shot. And you know, the only thing you can say is you're sorry. I mean, you feel bad, and I told him I was sorry, but you know, it happens.
You try to protect them, of course, but let them drop two passes at it right in their hands. See where that next pass is going to be. Maybe a little bit high. Just kidding. Right, baby?
When the ball is thrown and you're stretching out for it like Yancey. In '97, we played against the Arizona Cardinals. And I threw the ball late across the middle, and the safety was over there, but thinking I could get it there quick, and I let him out there. And he ain't rung his bell, ding dong. I do have to go up and apologize and give the guys hugs and let them know, you know, it's gonna be all right, I'm sorry, don't hurt me, don't kill me. As long as I can see you're looking at me and you're conscious and you're capable of getting up, hey, I'm pretty much not worrying about it, because it's a game of football and you're going to get hit. But I don't want to put them in those situations because it doesn't feel too good at all, believe me.
Receivers who venture into football's high-rent district know they are going to pay. And they often must decide which is worse, to lose their nerve or their head.
Receivers take pride. They take a big lick. They want to get up and clap and get excited and show you that they're not hurt.
But you watch them later on in the ball game. Those arms get a little bit shorter as they come across the middle.
You know when you've got someone worn down mentally, and when the fourth quarter comes around and they aren't so sure because they've come in there and they've been tattooed, you know, by 3 different guys converging on them. You know, as a defensive back, as a linebacker, that's what you want to put that fear in them. It sounds brutal, but it's a brutal game.
That's the beauty of the game, trying to own the middle. If you own the middle, the offense has to do something else. They're going to try you, but if you get a woo, they're not going to try too often. I still get my woo. If I see Laura Malloy hit somebody, I still get a woo. That's how you protect the middle. Didn't change when Buckus played the game. Didn't change when Lambert played the game. It didn't change when Jack Tatum played the game. And it hasn't changed now. And for years and years and years and years and years and years, as this game moves on, it's only one way to do that on the defensive side. You got to destroy your opponent.
Each week, ESPN has your ticket for the best in sports. Mondays, fulfill your need for speed as we bring you the best in two-wheel, open-wheel, and off-road racing. Thursdays are action sports days with the wildest moments of X Games and beyond. And remember, ESPN is always your home for the great outdoors with hunting, lumberjacking, and some of the biggest fish you've ever seen. The best in sports each week, only on ESPN.
No equipment needed. Only your hands and your heart. And according to the outcome, you will live 3 minutes of hell. Or 3 minutes of glory. Friday Night Fights on ESPN.
Your home for the thrills and spills of motorsports all season long is ESPN. Catch all the exciting, hard-hitting action of NFL American football all season long on ESPN.
You've been watching Crunch Chronicles on NFL's Greatest Moments. This has been an NFL Films production.
In bracket racing, being consistent is everything. And only the best bracket racers can make the cut. Today, Inside Drag Racing will go to Carolina Dragway in Jackson, South Carolina to see who can be the best in the sport, measured in thousandths of a second. The B&M Bracket Finals are next. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Carolina Dragway, just outside of Jackson, South Carolina, and this is the final edition of the B&M Shifter Headman Header Racer Appreciation Series. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ted Jones, your host here on Inside Drag Racing, and we've decided to follow this week a guy that has become pretty well famous, he and his brother, in ET bracket racing, especially the B&M series. I'm talking, of course, about Gary Williams out of Bradenton, Florida. His brother Troy we followed before here on Inside Drag Racing. You've seen him when he won the B&M Million down in Huntsville, Alabama. Gary, you just did it in Memphis.
Yeah, it's amazing to be a part of that family and then be a part of that elite group to win something so spectacular.
Yeah, for a lot of people who don't know, your parents actually ran the Bradenton drag strip, right?
Yeah, they've done it for several years, and it's pretty neat to get us into a sport of such magnitude as this.
Yeah, especially when you can go bracket racing and make a living. The win money was an all-time high this year in Memphis.
Yeah, it definitely made my year. I've had a rough one to start off with, and to come back around like that surely helps a lot.
For those of you that don't know, the winner this year paid $265,000. That's right. If you're just now watching this show and you don't know about bracket racing for a living, it can be done. You run for $10,000 every day here.
Yeah, they put a couple of them together today for free to appreciate all the people that supported their race, and they take care of their top 10 very well, so it helped a lot, and to be lucky enough to win one of them, I'm very pleased.
Yeah, you won last night. In addition, you won some shootouts, right? Tell us about those.
The Richmond Hard Charger one, you got to win the most consecutive rounds to get into it, and then they take them elite drivers from all the races earlier this year and put them in a race, and whoever wins it gets a whole bunch of their products and a nice trophy and stuff.
Wow, how big was the field?
I think it was like 5 cars, and the other one was the Goza one, which is you got to have the tightest packages throughout the whole race of each weekend to get into that, and I think that one was 6 cars, and I was lucky enough to win that also.
Won both shootouts.
Yeah, yesterday was a great day. They did all that in one day, and I won 3 of them, and we had another kid driving for us, Stanley Albritton, and he won the Jegs shootout also.
Man, I mean, it's a good weekend for you. Now, here you are here. Let's talk about how you've done so far. You have 2 entries. Let's explain that first. How do you double enter?
Well, they let you have one free, and their top 10 they take care of, and they give them another entry also. So they let you run the same car in the same class, but you just kind of hurry back, and it's kind of neat. It keeps you on your toes, makes you think nothing about racing. So it's pretty cool.
So if you go out and lose in the first one, you still got a second entry. You can run that one. Same car, same driver.
Yeah, it makes it harder for you to get back, but it still keeps your car on the track and makes everything stay as close to possible as it can.
Got to drive them nuts in the tire trying to keep up with all that.
Yeah, they make you put an X on your second entry, and a lot of people are doing it here, so I'm sure they got a hands full up there.
The Williams family, well, the reputation precedes them. Believe me, a lot of guys will red light against him or break out against him just because he's that good. We'll be back with more, and we'll meet a second-generation drag racer, father and son operation. The dad's done very well, former $1 million winner. When Inside Drag Racing returns right now, it's time for this week's Race Report. The Race Report, an update on championship sportsman racing action from across the nation. Brought to you by CompetitionPlus.com, drag racing's internet magazine. This week's Race Report is going to be coming to you from Memphis, Tennessee, the Schnitz Memphis Blues Nationals, AMA Pro Star Racing, starting out with Street Bike, the shootout. Barry Henson from Davie, Florida against Kent Stotts from Schaumburg, Illinois. A pair of Hondas. Henson picked up the victory, 737, 197 mile per hour, had a great 0-2-1 line. Then in Pro Stock, Paul Gass going against Steve Johnson from Birmingham, Alabama. That's right, the same Steve Johnson that just broke, by the way, that runs the NHRA series. Well, Gass, the #1 qualifier, wins it, 718, 186 mile per hour. Then in Pro Modified, Mimo Marciano, Rybrook, New York on a Suzuki, going against Steve Smithers from Kansas on a Kawasaki. Well, Mimo had the best light and the best ET, 694, 188 miles per hour. We move on now to Funny Bike. Travis Davis from Douglas, Georgia on a Kawasaki. Corey Hogan from Aveda, Colorado on a Suzuki. Hogan had the best light, but couldn't match the ET of Davis. 664 beats a 671. Davis ran 204 miles per hour. And finally, the stars